Weight management, something that most fighters don't really talk about, not at all, but it is vital in order to have a healthy lifespan within this sport. Many fighters do this with their weight. In and out of camp, and the weight does the same. They fight at 66 kilo, they might weigh 85 kilos 3 weeks later, and then they've got to lose all that weight again just to fight. And I do not like doing that. I do not like cutting weight. I don't think anyone likes it, but some people go through that pain a lot more just to try and get a little bit of an edge on their opponent. But for me personally, I do not feel good whatsoever in the cage when I've cut a lot of weight. One time I did cut a substantial amount of weight. I got rocked with a punch that I should not have got rocked with, and that was down to being dehydrated. These are the rules that I follow to try and avoid anything like this. And I'm pretty strict with them, and it's just what I do personally, just to make sure I manage my weight correctly. Now, let's start out of camp. Out of camp, I will do no more than 20% over my fight weight. I fight at 66 kilos. 20% of that is 13.2 kilos. That means I will never be heavier than 79.2 kilos out of camp. Out of camp, never going heavier than that. I have done it before, but now I'm pretty strict within the fact I am not doing that. Right now, I'm 78 kilos. I'm injured, I don't have any fights in the pipeline, and I'm sat at a good weight. And I wrote this down for you to make it a little bit easier. But there we are. I don't know why I wrote a pound sign, but I did. So 13.2 kilos, that is 20% of my, or over the top of my fight weight. And that is 79.2 kilos. I'm never going to go heavier than that whilst I'm fighting at 66 kilo. Now, let's go on to 4 weeks before the weigh-in. I don't want to be over 15%. That's what I say. No more than 15% over what I've got to weigh in at. So for me, that is 9.9 kilos, and that is 75.9. That means I do not want to be any heavier than 75.9 kilos 4 weeks before my fight, because I'm going to have a substantial amount to diet, and the cut is going to be so hard. So hard, and I don't want that for fight night. Same again, because I'm so nice, I wrote it down. 9.9 kilos is 15% over of my fight weight, and that comes to 75.9 kilos. And that one is all from diet. There's no cutting weight there, but I've got to make sure my diet is in play. So I'm 75.9 kilos or below. Now let's go to the next one down, and that is 1 week before the weigh-in day. I don't want to be personally any more than 10% over that weight I've got to weigh in at. For me, that is 6.6 kilos, which is 72.6 kilograms. For me, I just don't want to be that way. That means on the Friday, if I'm weighing in the week after on the Friday, I do not want to be more than 72.6 kilos on that Friday, the week before the weigh-in. Because if I am, I'm going to have more weight to cut than I want to. Same again, I've done a little bit so you can see with my unneat handwriting, but 6.6 kilos is 10%, and I do not want to be over that 72.6 kilos. Now, this is a figure that is a bit of preference, but the day of the weigh-in, before you start cutting weight, I'm going to say no more than 5% to cut. But me personally, I like doing no more than 3%. But I'm going to go with 5 just so you've got a bit more lenience, but you've just got more weight to cut. For me, I don't like it. 5%, that is 3.3 kilos, and that comes to 69.3 kilograms. That means maybe 5 AM on the Friday morning, you're going to be 69.3 kilos before you start going in the bath and everything like that. That means you're going to have 3.3 kilos to lose before you can get to that 66 kilo barrier. For me personally, I would do 3%. I will wake up at 68 kilos, meaning I've only got 2 kilos to actually cut. If it's a championship fight, you're going to have another point too, but we're going with the 66 to make the metrics a lot easier. So from there, 3.3 kilos is 5% of the weight. That means I'm going to be 69.3 kilos the morning of. But me personally, I like doing 3%, which is 1.98 kilos. We're going to round up for 2 to make it easy. That means I've got to be 68 kilos the morning of the weigh-in. Before I start going in the sauna, means I only have 2 kilos to lose, and for me that is a bath and a half. These are the metrics. 20% of your fight weight over, that is out of camp. 15% over your fight weight, that is 4 weeks before you fight. 10% over your fight weight is a week before, and then 5%, I do 3% personally, that is the morning of the weigh-in, probably 5 AM in the morning, 4 AM in the morning before you start cutting weight. The reason I do this is because that's what fighters do, they yo-yo. And if you're doing this, you're going to concentrate your camp on losing weight. You've got to lose, let's say you're 85 kilos and you're fighting at 66. You've got 19 kilos to lose. Your fight camp, which is 8 or 12 weeks, the concentration is going to be on that, losing the weight. And because your concentration is on making that weight, it takes it away from your skills, your technique, and really your performance. Because all you're bothered about is making that weight. And what people do say is the fight is the weigh-in, and the fight is the fun bit. The real fight is making the weight, and then actually fighting, that's just the fun bit. And I don't want to have to detriment my body and dehydrate it in order to do that. I'd rather do it at a good gradual amount. I still do a little bit, but I don't want to be doing drastic diet cuts and weight cuts. It's bad for you. And that is how we do things around here, because we're built different. Take a screenshot, take a picture of that if you want to take note, but that is what I follow. And really, I'm always under those metrics because I hate cutting weight and I don't really want to sit in a sauna for hours and hours the day before my fight. That's how we do things around here, because we're built different, and I'll see you in the next one. Bish, bash, bosh, pow!